Welcome back to Love Unfiltered. Happy Friday, everybody. I am so glad that you're joining us today. We're diving into a deeply important subject today, one that can have a profound effect on how we interact in relationships, unpacking trauma and how it influences our connections with others. Did you know that unresolved trauma can subtly impact how we connect, communicate, and trust those closest to us? It's often something we don't even realize is affecting our relationships. But understanding this can be a game changer. So, let's explore how we can recognize and address trauma and its impact on our bonds with others. Stay tuned as we take a closer look at how we can heal and grow, both individually and together. I have invited students from diverse backgrounds to share the unique perspectives on love, relationships, and everything in between. I have Bonnie, who is a freshman and chemistry major.
Hello.
And I have Mercedes, who is a junior and pre-vet major.
Hey y'all.
All right, thank you guys for taking the time to be with me today. All right, let's get started. Trauma is the emotional response to a distressing or life-altering event that overwhelms an individual's ability to cope. It's not just about physical injury, but how deeply an event affects our emotional and psychological well-being. Different types of trauma can impact how we relate to others and how we process the world around us. Acute trauma. This results from a single, often unexpected event, like a car accident, natural disaster, or sudden loss. It's intense, but usually happens in one instance. Chronic trauma. This type of trauma occurs when an individual is repeatedly exposed to distressing situations over a prolonged period. This can happen in cases of ongoing abuse, neglect, or living in a dangerous environment. Complex trauma. This involves exposure to varied and multiple traumatic events, often experienced over an extended period. It's common in situations where a person faces different forms of abuse or systemic or cultural trauma over time. Now, a key condition often associated with trauma is post-traumatic stress disorder, or as known as PTSD. PTSD can develop after an individual experiences or witnesses a traumatic event. Symptoms can include flashbacks, like reliving the traumatic event as though it's happening again, avoidance, trying to avoid thoughts, feelings, or reminders of the trauma, hypervigilance, being constantly on edge or feeling like danger is imminent, and emotional numbness, feeling detached from others or disconnected from emotions. Understanding the different types of trauma and the effects of PTSD can give us insight into how trauma might show up in our relationships, whether it's how we trust, communicate, or react to certain situations. Recognizing these signs is a crucial first step in navigating trauma within ourselves and our connections. What are your thoughts?
Well, when it comes to things like understanding and being able to recognize different types of trauma responses, especially in relationships, I think the main thing that kind of prevents people from understanding that is the stigma on trauma, especially trauma like PTSD or things of that nature, because usually in media it's it's seen as something that's like, oh, boom, happens, like a bunch of big flashbacks and things like that. But there's different ways that it happens, that trauma happens.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have trauma from, shoot, like, I don't know, seeing a clown at like 11 years old. Like, you like have a fear of that now and it carries through your life. Or some other like serious matters like domestic abuse and things like that. People don't recognize the ways that different types of trauma are presented
Mm-hmm.
and developed.
I agree.
I think it all travels back to emotional intelligence. Intelligence, actually. I think people who suffers from any traumatic experience in their life when they were younger or when they come of age, um, it's often harder for people to just recognize, like, okay, I'm feeling this way because of what happened when I was younger or in my past relationship. um, it's important. I think people who suffer from traumatic experiences, they can have or gain a healthy relationship with their partner. It's just a way of doing it. Their partner has to also understand, like, okay, their partner has been through this, and that. That is why they're acting like this, or I have to find a way to just like to respond to them in a way that they won't get offended, or a way that they can understand, and so they can come to an agreement or mediate with each other, because they have to have an agreement with each other. They can't just always argue and just always not see eye to eye. And
Mm-hmm.
when you do see eye to eye, it's important for both of them to know how to respond to each other, and just like be good partners in a relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. There's a lot of understanding that needs to go into that. Because everybody has something that they're struggling with, and we shouldn't use that against your significant other in arguments or discussions, especially knowing how much of a sensitive topic it is. That's not fair to them, and it's very cruel. So I feel like we should definitely take PTSD and trauma very seriously, because if you accidentally trigger your partner, try to understand what that trigger is so that you don't trigger them again. And don't use their traumas against them. Just be very understanding, and just know, like, they just have that.
Yeah, I think it's important for both sides, actually, not just the one that had the traumatic experience, but also the one that has to deal with it too, because that could also take a toll on them as well.
Hmm.
So I feel like that person who is with another person who been through a traumatic experience, if they really want to be with that person, they're gonna work continuously with that person, diligently with that person, to make sure the relationship will work out in the future.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
I agree. I
Right.
agree.
I also feel like a lot of people, especially partners with people who aren't really all that mm, like sound when it comes to, not sound, sorry, wrong words. That's not fully knowledgeable about their partner's trauma or know specific parts about it. Um, Sometimes, and I've seen this in real time. There's been so many, and I feel like a lot of people don't talk about it. The way that certain people will, on purpose, like, be with people who like have a type of trauma, and use it against them, and not just use it against them, but kind of sort of romanticize them
Hmm.
in a way. And it's something that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about it of just because of stigma, like I said before,
Hmm.
of different types of mental issues. And people will be like, oh, like my partner like has this, so that means that they're going to do that. Or like, oh, this person's like has this, so they're crazy.
Hmm.
Ooh, sorry to kind of sort of. Mm. There's something that also like goes into it, as well as like the crazy girlfriend.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. I think a lot of people don't really talk about like how much that really like affects people, like mentally, especially like women. When it comes to like, oh, my girlfriend's crazy, oh, she does this, she does this, she does this, like, but she loves me for real, and things like that. I feel like it kind of puts like people, and not just women, just people overall who deal with mental issues and are seen as crazy because of that,
Hmm.
even though sometimes it comes from a place of insecurity, comes from a place of trauma
Hmm.
overall. A lot of people don't understand how much they romanticize it. A lot of people romanticize their partners who deal with mental issues, and I'm pretty sure like it comes from a thing of not really feeling as if a person does not love a person with all their heart, all their soul, is not completely obsessed with that person doesn't love them. And that itself is actually a trauma response. And I just think it's not really like brought up to the table as much.
Hmm. I definitely think that people romanticize their partner's traumas. Um, and I feel like them romanticizing it kind of makes me feel like they're not taking it seriously, or they find it hilarious or funny or humorous, and they probably even tell their friends about it. And like, yeah, it's like so funny because like she has panic attacks over stupid stuff, but I mean, I'm still here with her. Like, it's things like that. Um, and one point that you made was the crazy girlfriend. Um, I've heard that before many times. And I honestly feel like people will purposefully trigger you or purposefully upset you in a way up until a point where you kind of just lose it. Like you've reached your breaking point and you're just tired of all the mistreatment and everything. And then once you like kind of lose yourself, then they kind of use that against you. And it's like, oh, so now you're the crazy girlfriend, you're the crazy boyfriend because you lost control. You got tired of me mistreating you. So now I'm going to go around and tell everybody that, oh, yeah, she was crazy or he was crazy. But nah, you were the reason why I reacted in the way that I did.
And I feel like that is so not fair. Like that is so inconsiderate of what people would do when you're in a relationship with that other person.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the like you know this person is hurt. You know this person is going through something.
Mm-hmm.
And you decide to go around with your friends laughing, belittling the situation, belittling the person. Like it's crazy to me. That's what's really crazy. And then it's like people will still engage with that person after the fact. The person will know like the person's been going around, spreading their business and telling them or their friends how crazy they are. And the person that was accused of doing all these things or still be back with that person. Like I can't. I really don't. I don't agree. I feel like anything within a relationship should stay in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, if a person is making you act a certain way, it's very imperative, and I need to take my own advice as well. It's very imperative for a person just sit down and talk with that person. If they can't get it through their head, first 2 times, I would say 2 to 3 times, I'm gonna say just leave that person. You have to heal, and then when y'all both are healed, then that's when y'all come back together.
But what do they need to get through their head? What are you guys discussing? Because it could be like, a general thing. Like, what are you guys discussing that they need to get a hold of before you decide to end things with them?
The person that's like they keeps on going back to the person like that's been accused of being crazy and doing such things.
Okay, so
What you mean?
so like you said that you would talk to that partner, and you would give them 3 times to get together.
Yeah.
But what are you talking to them about? Are you talking to them about
How they're making you feel?
Got you. Okay.
The way I would say you would have to be, like I said, emotional intelligent
Mhm.
to really talk and sit down with your partner because you have to know the right things to say,
Yes.
how to say them,
Mhm.
not accuse them of anything, but like saying, okay, what you're doing is affecting me.
Mhm.
It's stuff like that. You really gotta be really A1 when it comes to a relationship.
You gotta be in tune with yourself as a
Yes.
person and in tune with your partner's
Yes.
emotions and feelings.
Yes.
Because if you're not and the relationship is out of balance, it's not going to work. It's going to fail
Yes.
unless you put in the work to fix it.
Both has to put in the work,
Mhm.
or that one person has to make the other person, not make the other person, but I guess persuade them or support them in putting in the work with them because it doesn't take one, it takes two. So
It does take two.
It takes two. It also takes understanding accountability, and that's another thing that kind of sort of like adds on is I think a lot of people like lean towards like ooh like crazy, and I hate using that word because it kind of sort of adds to the stigma,
Mhm.
but they use it so then like once like we just said like once the people like blow up immediately they can blame like oh like you lost control like I didn't make you do that. You made yourself do that because you're already unstable.
That part, you know how many times it's like, no, you made me feel that way. You made me react in this way. And then they try to blame your actions on you when it's like, no, it's a response. It's a reaction to your actions. That's the problem. I don't know.
I think people's view on their own normality makes them avoid accountability, especially when it comes to relationships and being able to navigate them.
Mhm.
And it's just, oh, it's just frustrating because it's like, you made me react this way. You knew what I had. I already know I have my own, like, emotional, like, state about different certain things, and you make me blow up, especially if you put in the work to heal yourself,
Mhm.
and that person knows, and that person takes advantage of that,
Mm-hmm.
and then they can be like, oh well, hey, like, you were already damaged, like, you already did all of this, I can avoid my own accountability of what I did because you did that to yourself.
Mhm.
Like, even with all the work that you put in, everything that you already told that person, it won't matter to them because now it's like you, like, already knew what you were, but now it's just, yeah.
Yeah, and another thing too is like what you work to you kind of like work on yourself, knowing you have like these triggers, you have these traumas and things like that, and you're working on yourself, but then that person that you're with plays on that and it kind of mess it up for you by continuously causing issues and things like that. And then when you lose control because you're trying so hard to heal, but they're not, they're kind of like counteracting it, then they say, "Oh yeah, you never tried. Like you've always been this way, and you'll never get better, or you'll never change." And so it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now unresolved trauma can significantly shape how we interact in relationships, often without us realizing it. When trauma isn't processed, it can cause us to develop certain patterns of behavior that affect our ability to connect with others. Here's how unresolved trauma can manifest in relationships. Difficulty trusting others. Trauma can make it challenging to trust people, especially when past relationships or experiences have been hurtful. The fear of being hurt again can create barriers, making it hard to let someone get close. Here's an example. After experiencing betrayal or abandonment, someone might struggle to believe that a new partner won't leave them too, even when the relationship is healthy. They may consistently question their partner's intentions, fearing that trust will be broken again. And now, fear of abandonment or rejection. People with unresolved trauma might live with a constant fear that their partner will abandon them. This fear can stem from early childhood neglect or past relationship experiences where they were left behind. Here's an expert quote. Individuals with unresolved trauma may feel like they are not worthy of love or fear that those who care for them will eventually walk away. This is by Dr. Alexandra Solomon, relationship expert. Example. A person might become overly clingy or possessive, fearing that their partner will leave them. Alternatively, they may withdraw entirely, anticipating rejection before it can happen. Emotional triggers and heightened sensitivity. Trauma can cause individuals to have emotional triggers that bring up past pain. Certain words, actions, or situations may evoke intense reactions that seem disproportionate to the current situation, as they're linked to past trauma. Example. A partner might respond with anger or tears when something as simple as a late arrival happens because it reminds them of feeling abandoned or neglected in the past.
Mm-hmm.
These reactions often aren't about the present moment, but a trauma response tied to the past. And lastly, patterns of avoidance or codependency. Trauma survivors might develop patterns of avoidance, keeping people at a distance to prevent getting hurt. On the other hand, some might become codependent, relying on their partner for validation and approval because they never received that sense of security and support during their traumatic experiences. Example. Someone who has faced childhood trauma might avoid emotional intimacy altogether, distancing themselves from their partner when things get too close. On the flip side, a person who fears being alone due to past abandonment might overly rely on their partner for constant emotional support, often neglecting their own needs. These patterns don't just create distance between partners, they can also perpetuate cycles of emotional instability or even escalate conflicts. Recognizing these manifestations can help individuals become more aware of their behaviors and work on healing past wounds. What are your thoughts?
I would like to piggyback off of that actually, because now that you said that, it made me think about how with me, I would feel like when I feel like I'm being affectionate. I can be affectionate to someone, but when someone like shows like affection towards me, I'm kind of like standoffish because I don't know how to receive it. I really do not know how to receive affection at all. Like I could be like thank you, or oh my gosh, like this was so sweet, but it's like in my heart I'm just like I'm not feeling it. Like any day, any point of the day, you could just up and leave. Like you could do something that I don't like, or you could do something that just would hurt me, and I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm mentally just gone. So like that trauma, what you just said for the examples, I can agree with that. Like it
Mm-hmm.
can happen.
Yeah, I get it. Cause like, for me as well, it's also a thing where, I've always kind of sort of told myself like, take every single relationship in life that you have with a grain of salt, because you never know like who can leave, like if something can happen, like things don't last forever,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a thing where with me, like because of that, and it's something I'm still working through, is that I do like try to hold like relationships as long as I can, even if they're like not good for me, not good for the other person. Like even then I'll try to hold on to it because I want to prove that mindset wrong
Mhm.
in
Mm-hmm.
my mind.
Mhm.
Like
Mm.
like there can be lasting, like it can happen, and then sometimes you're proven wrong,
Yeah.
but at other times it's still like you still need to just come to a realization that you know everything's not black and white, like oh that person's gonna leave, oh that person's gonna stay. It's completely gray.
Mm-hmm.
Life is completely gray.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have y'all been with someone? Um, y'all been with someone, and it's like you don't like them really at first as much as they like you, but over time you thinking like, okay, maybe over time I'm going to like this person more and more and more, and it just never happens. It just never happens. Have y'all ever been through that?
Mm-mm.
Have
Yes.
you?
Yes, and funny enough, it was with one of my very very old best friends.
Mm.
And the thing about it that I kind of sort of like felt is that like that person, we kind of had like a rivalry, rivalry in a way,
Mhm.
where we would kind of like argue, they say some things, I say some things, I get on their nerves, they get on my
Mhm.
nerves, and I'm thinking like, oh, like I don't like, I high key don't like this isn't something I usually go for, but like later down the line I'll probably get used to it, like that person could still be my friend, we could still be close, and then later down the line I'm just like, I'm done. Like
Yeah.
I'm tired,
You
I don't
you're
care.
you tune out because you're already trying, but it's like you're trying to like that person. So that on top of the fact that it's like y'all going back and forth, I can only imagine like you probably just tuned out of the whole relationship as a whole, and that sucks as you said I was with your best friend. So
Yeah, it's like,
Mm.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
For me, it was kind of like that, but it was kind of like backwards. It was like a uphill thing. So it started off with being attracted to that person.
Mm,
Then whoop, nope. And now I'm not attracted to you. And it stayed
mm,
like that for a long time. And then I was like, well, okay, maybe if you try hard enough to like change and be
mhm,
better,
mhm.
then maybe I can be attracted to you again. It slowly went up, and then it went right back down again. And then that was like, yeah, no, I cut that off right there. So, yeah, but I never had like a not being attracted to them in the beginning,
Mhm,
and then hoping that it would become that
mhm.
at some point. So yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
Mm.
All right. So emphasizing self-awareness is crucial when addressing trauma. Recognizing that trauma exists And acknowledging its impact on your life and relationships is the first step toward healing. Only by being honest with yourself can you begin to understand how past experiences are influencing your present behaviors, thoughts, and emotions. Coping strategies are essential in managing the effects of unresolved trauma. Journaling or mindfulness practices. Journaling allows individuals to express their emotions freely and track progress over time. Writing down thoughts can help identify recurring patterns of behavior or triggers related to past trauma. Mindfulness, on the other hand, encourages staying present and grounded in the moment, reducing the emotional charge tied to past memories. Mindfulness techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or guided visualization helps release tension and promote emotional clarity. Building a strong support system. Trauma recovery doesn't have to be a solo journey. Surrounding yourself with people you trust, whether they are friends, family, or therapists, can offer emotional safety and validation. A strong support system provides reassurance, reduces feelings of isolation, and can help you healthily process emotions. You can practice communication strategies for discussing trauma with a partner. Use I statements. Instead of saying things like, "You never understand me," use I statements to express how you feel, which reduces the chance of your partner feeling defensive. For example, say, "I feel overwhelmed when I can't express myself openly," or "I feel triggered when we argue about something that reminds me of past pain." This helps frame the conversation around your feelings rather than blaming your partner. Set boundaries. This one is a difficult one to do, but set boundaries. Communicating trauma can be intense, and setting boundaries is a vital aspect of the process. Let your partner know what you need in those moments. For example, when I'm triggered, I need a moment alone to process my emotions. Or, I need reassurance when I feel overwhelmed by memories. Establishing clear boundaries allows both partners to navigate sensitive topics with respect and care. These steps encourage a compassionate approach to healing, with an emphasis on individual growth and mutual support. Trauma healing takes time, but by embracing self awareness and employing healthy coping strategies, individuals can begin to rebuild trust and communication and connection with their partners. What are your thoughts?
Hmm. I think that really like identifying, especially like what kind of like caught my eye was like, well, caught my ear was journaling
Mm-hmm.
and recognizing different thought patterns, because thoughts, like, a lot of people, your brain is your like own like worst enemy,
Mm-hmm.
and not understanding or recognizing like constant overwhelming patterns is what like helps you as a person like move on. Like, oh, like I already like talked about, for example, like, hey, like this specific like trigger, let's say, let's take envy for example. I used to be a very very envious person, um and I always would like see somebody have something that like I want, or be somebody that I wanted to be, and be like, oh, why don't I have this? Why can't this happen to me? Like, why? And I started writing down, and then I noticed that every single time I wrote it down, it would always come back to like things that I felt like I couldn't do,
Mm-hmm.
and I recognized that,
Mm-hmm.
and because I recognized that, and I also like look back at like my childhood and things that happened to me that like made me feel like why I couldn't do that, why I wasn't good enough to do that, and then I started changing. I changed that behavior, and every time like I felt like a type of envious, I'll like realize like, oh, like you're doing this again. You're being envious about another person again. Like, huh, let's stop that, let's calm down, and let's like move on.
Mm-hmm.
When you're able to identify different thought patterns, and you're able to like write down things that you could do differently
Mm-hmm.
to get through that, it helps you and it pushes you to a better direction, because now not only are you building on yourself, but you're also realizing your triggers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very important thing when it comes to unpacking trauma, is realizing your triggers.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that. I like that you were able to identify your thought process and be able to kind of tell yourself, okay, I need to stop doing that. And over time, that became like a habit of yours, is telling yourself, okay, don't feel that way. Let's feel a different way, more positive way. I like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, I like when you said you can start like with different ways to respond to your partner. I liked how you said I. You can start saying I, so wouldn't make your partner feel like they're being like jumped at or feeling attacked in some sort of way.
Hmm.
So I like the I. I feel like that should be used often, just not just in relationships, but in friendships and overall just talking to people.
Hmm.
When that person makes you feel away.
Hmm.
Mhm.
All right, now here are the benefits of therapy. It provides a safe space to process your emotions. Therapy offers a confidential environment where individuals can express their emotions without fear of judgment. This safe space allows for deeper self exploration and the opportunity to confront unresolved trauma constructively. It equips individuals with tools to manage triggers. A therapist can help individuals identify their emotional triggers and provide coping strategies to manage overwhelming feelings. These tools could include grounding techniques, relaxation exercises, or reframing negative thoughts to prevent triggers from taking control. And it also offers guidance in building healthier relationships. Therapy not only helps individuals heal, but it also provides couples with strategies to improve communication, empathy, and mutual understanding. By learning to navigate conflicts and emotional triggers, therapy fosters stronger and more resilient connections with partners. Now, there are different therapy options. Talk therapy, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, one of the most common forms of therapy. Talk therapy helps individuals address negative thought patterns and behaviors. It can be particularly effective for managing anxiety, depression, and the emotional aftermath of trauma. EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. This type of therapy is designed to help individuals process traumatic memories and reduce the emotional charge associated with them. Through guided eye movements and bilateral stimulation, EMDR helps reprocess the trauma and integrate it more healthily. Group therapy. Group therapy allows individuals to share their experiences with others who have similar challenges. This form of therapy fosters a sense of community and reduces feelings of isolation while providing support and insight from peers. Reassurance. Seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. I have to say this over and over again because there's so many people out here who think that seeking help is weakness when it's not. Recognizing the need for therapy and reaching out for support is an empowering choice, not a sign of failure. Therapy is a tool for growth and healing, enabling individuals to live more fulfilling lives and create stronger, healthier relationships. It's an investment in your mental health and well being. Now, here are the challenges of moving on: overcoming guilt, shame, or self doubt. After a difficult breakup or challenging relationship, it's common to experience feelings of guilt, shame, or self doubt. You may question your decisions, wonder if you could have done something differently, or feel unworthy of a healthier future. It's important to recognize that healing takes time, and these feelings are a part of the emotional process. Reclaiming personal identity. Sometimes being in a relationship can cause you to lose sight of who you are as an individual. Moving on involves reconnecting with your true self, rediscovering what makes you happy, and embracing your passions and goals. It's a journey of self exploration and self love that can feel difficult but is essential for long term growth. Here are some actionable steps to moving on. 1. Establish clear boundaries and cut ties if necessary. One of the most important steps in moving on is to create emotional and physical space. This might mean limiting contact with your ex or cutting ties altogether. Boundaries help you detach from the past and protect your emotional well-being as you begin the healing process. 2. Focus on self-care and rediscovering personal passions. Reinvesting in yourself is crucial. Practice self-care, whether that's through exercise, meditation, pursuing hobbies, or spending time with loved ones. Rediscover activities and passions you might have set aside during the relationship. Doing this not only boosts your self esteem, but also helps you reconnect with the person you are outside of the relationship. And finally, 3, allow time to grieve and heal. Moving on is not an overnight process. Allow yourself the space to grieve and feel the emotions that come with the end of a relationship. This might involve journaling, talking to friends, or seeking therapy. Remember, it's okay to feel sad, angry, or uncertain. Healing comes in stages, and it's important to permit yourself to grieve before fully stepping into the next chapter of your life. By taking these steps, you can begin to rebuild your life, strengthen your sense of self, and eventually move on to healthier, more fulfilling relationships in the future. What are your thoughts?
Oh, that was a lot that you just said. Honestly, I agree with the research you conducted overall. What was the last part that you said, actually?
Allow time to grieve and heal.
Yeah, I think, of course, it's going to take time. I would say, for me, whenever I would be in that situation, I would pray, honestly. Just pray. Because some people don't have or feel the need to confide in other people because I just feel like with me, it's not the best to always confide in other people. It is best to pray, journal, spend time with yourself, just doing something that satisfies you so you wouldn't have to keep on texting that person trying to communicate with that person when you know that's not healthy at that moment in that point of time, when you know that you need separation from one another. I would definitely say that for me, I would pray. Not always get advice from other people. That's one of the most important things. Advice from other people is not good. One thing that I have noticed with me is since I've been reading the Bible, I would feel like I know for a fact I feel more comfortable with myself for the simple fact that we are all humans, and I think sometimes sometimes a people pleaser, so I feel as though I need to confide in another person and get advice from another person and think, okay, well, if they said this, and that must be the right answer. When in reality, it's not. They don't know the A to point B, what happened, or why you guys are, or why you're feeling this way about the person that you're talking to. So it's not always best to confide in a person or get advice from a different person. So I would say yes, pray, journal, self invest. I think that's one of the things you said, and what else? Just like spending more time with yourself, learning to re-love yourself and just take care of yourself, your mental, your physical well-being overall. Just like getting to know yourself, getting to just be in love or just being with yourself is the most important thing before even getting to a relationship. Because I think what sets apart when you don't have boundaries with that person, it is because sometimes it's because you don't love yourself as much as you really should, because you're thinking, okay, I need to be around this person 24/7, and this person is the only person that brings me happiness, and this is what I need in my life. So I heavily think before you get into a relationship, it is imperative to just love yourself first.
Find your sense of self.
Yes, you have to make sure, like, okay, I'm doing this, and that, and when I get in a relationship, I'm going to continue to do this, and that.
Yes.
Like, I feel like that's just that messes up the relationship overall, because once you see that other person doing what they need to do throughout the day, and then it's like you're indulging into their activities, they're gonna feel like, okay, now this person is too much for me.
Right, like you're suffocating them.
Yes. Like
Around.
y'all need to just breathe. Y'all have to have separate lives, especially in this day and age. Like, we are young. We still have to live our lives. Like, it's no way you feel the need to be around your person or your significant other 24/7. You need to have a life of your own. My gosh.
You wanna know the funny thing is that in my last relationship, I was not allowed to go to parties. I was not allowed to go to parties, and I could not have male friends at all. And so that kind of like limited what I could do on, like, the weekends starting Friday, and also limited how many people I could be friends with. I get along with guys better They're less catty than girls. So I've grown up with male friends my whole childhood. Like my best friends are mostly men, and so it kind of like made things hard for me. And so I would spend a lot of time with that person, and then and they were like, okay, cool, but then they started getting annoyed by it. And I was like, well, what did you expect to happen? Like, you just limited all the things that I could do outside of us, and now you're complaining about the fact that you feel like I'm like suffocating you. And so then I started going to do more things. I started the podcast and all these things. I started making more friends. I even tried and attempted to make male friends, despite that person not liking that. But I was like, you know what? This is my life. I'm gonna be friends with whoever I want to be friends with. And then they started complaining about the fact that I wasn't spending enough time with them. So I'm like, bro, like, make up your mind. Do you want me to spend more time or not? So it was things like that. I reinvested in myself near the end of the relationship, and even during my healing process, and the healing process is still going on. I've started going to the gym more. I've been doing yoga and meditating and pursuing all these hobbies like the podcasting, filming. I started an internship with my digital media professor. I've been doing all of these different things and spending more time with my loved ones, like my friends, making new friends, making more friends, getting myself out there. And eventually, at some point, when I end up in another relationship, I'll have all these things, and I'm going to continue doing those things. And that is exactly what we're trying to tell all the listeners here is, don't stop doing what makes you you. Even when you get into a relationship, your identity is the most important part of yourself. If you lose your sense of self, then who are you at the end of the day? But don't ever lose your sense of self.
Yes,
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
I think like your individuality at the end of the day should be like one of the most important things that you hold to you in general. Because if you don't hold any type of individuality and your sense of self is based on another person, it's just overall gonna mess you up and your life up. Because now your life isn't your life anymore. It's this other person's life. And if you yeah, like you're doing the things that that other person's doing, you're doing like it's gonna be like, oh, like that's too much. Like you're no longer a different person. You're me now. And 9 out of 10 people don't want to be with themselves, so that's why they kind of sort of like lean on to being with other people, and that's just something that I think a lot of people just need to like understand and focus on, especially people who are in codependent relationships. Oh my gosh, codependent relationships. Ooh,
Are the worst.
Mhm.
Financially,
worst.
when you need that person financially to make you happy or make you well off.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Lord.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I was like, yeah,
I was just-
Mentally, when you
yeah.
feel like you need that
Mhm.
codependent relationships are the worst. Are the worst.
Yeah.
I'm so used to like doing things on my own per se. Like if a man steps in my life and they especially at this age steps in my life and they want to take over and stuff like that, I would find myself to be lazy. Like, and I do not want to be lazy. I want to be able to do something for myself. So codependent relationships are the worst. Like, I guess for certain people, or yeah,
If you're able to balance it right, but that takes
Yeah.
maturity, then that
Yeah.
takes time and discipline.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
A lot of people get real used to that dependency,
Yeah.
yeah,
and then when their expectations never go away. So that when you aren't able to do that for them, then they want to cry and complain and pout
Yeah.
and just make a huge issue
Yeah.
over it.
For sure.
like
for
why
sure.
aren't you with me all the time? Like we're supposed to be doing this together. We gotta have that together. Like everything we gotta do, everything we gotta have, we have to share. But that's just not how life is. Everybody has their own individual lives at the end of the day. And I think a lot of people need to understand before you had that person, you had you. And a lot of people don't understand like how important them being by themselves is. And but like even besides codependent relationships, people who always want to be in relationships, people who can't go without being in relationships, people who can't go without being with
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah.
I like personally, I think they're beyond. They lost their individuality.
Yeah, they lost themselves within themselves because I have actually seen a person where she wouldn't be really like herself if she wasn't in a relationship. Like
Mm.
you'll notice when a person is in a relationship because they're depressed when they're not in a relationship and stuff like that. But when they are in a relationship, it's just like a whole different them. And that should not be like that should not be. It's just important to just really love yourself. Be
Yes.
content within yourself.
There is you before the relationship, there's
Yes.
you during the relationship,
Mhm.
and there will always be you after the relationship.
Yes, and that's with friendships and relationships, guys.
Yes.
Like for example, for me, I would say something that I'm learning about myself is when I find somebody or friendship or relationship, either one, when I find somebody that I really like or something like that, or a friend group that I really like, I tend to people please. Do whatever what makes them happy, or just to make sure that they do not leave. Like I have something where it's like I guess abandonment issues, I guess, if you want to say, which sucks now that I'm really realizing it. But the need to just make sure that person or that particular group does not leave me. I'll make sure that I'm the nicest I could be.
Or they're happy.
Make sure they're happy.
Put your happiness over your own.
Yes, making sure I'm doing something different, which I don't usually do. Making sure I'm doing something that I don't usually do to make sure that other person is happy. Which in some cases that is not wrong to do, because it sometimes you are going to feel the need, well, not feel the need, but it is important for sometimes you doing something for another person that you don't really feel that you don't want to do. Like it's okay to just step out of your comfort zone sometimes for another person. But when it becomes a problem is when you're doing it too much, when you realize that you're doing it, when you don't even realize that you're doing it, but you're doing it too much. Like it just becomes a thing where you just making sure that other person is happy or that group is happy, and that's not good as well. Because when they start to act a certain way towards you, you're gonna be like, what? I did everything in my possibility
God,
to.
so
am
felt.
I? Yeah. Am I?
Like, dang,
Yes.
that really not mean that much to
Yes.
y'all after all I've done for y'all, and then y'all just gonna do me
Yes,
dirty.
you're gonna be like, dang, like I'm just so confused. Like, what did I do? Now you're gonna be in your head. You're gonna be asking people like, oh, why did this person leave me?
Right, like that, and I do enough.
Yes,
Like that one SpongeBob episode where like he thought he was gonna get fired. Like it's like wait, what was it? Like I gave my best years to this place.
Oh
And then he goes, "Hurry up," like that.
yes. That person's gonna work so hard, and then once that's what I'm saying. It does not matter how much you do for a person, financially, mentally, physically. It does not matter at all. That person has to want you. Like,
if a person wants to leave, they will leave.
they will leave. They will leave. They
especially
will leave.
especially if they're using you and they're just done.
Yes.
They're just like, oh, on to the next.
Yes. And that. Oh my God.
So also another thing, don't let yourself be used by somebody.
Yeah.
Especially if they a bum.
Yeah.
Scrub.
Yes.
And you know that song, No Scrub?
Yeah.
Don't give yourself to a scrub or a bum. Bro, just don't, because they're literally just using you because you have all these things. Like if you have a car, if you have money, if you have your body, they will use you. And then when they are done using you or they're tired of you, they will leave.
Yes. Yep. Because they know that they can get those things out of you without you tripping and stuff like that. And so when you do trip, they like, okay, you're doing too much. Yes, you're getting over on that person. You're manipulative to that person. And I just think what goes around comes around, for sure. So it's like, honestly, when that does happen, and you're soon to realize, okay, this person is doing that. He is manipulating me, or she is manipulating me. It's okay. Just be content with yourself, and just know that what goes around comes around. So all that you getting mistreated and stuff like that, what goes around definitely comes around. So don't even worry about it. Don't worry.
Yes. What healing looks like. Reduced emotional reactivity. Triggers no longer control your reactions. You respond with calm and intention, not defensiveness. Improved self-worth. Rediscover your value beyond past experiences, boosting confidence and self-respect. Healthy relationships. Heal from past pain to set boundaries, communicate well, and build authentic connections. Patience in the process. Healing isn't linear, okay, guys? So setbacks are normal, but progress is made one step at a time. Give yourself grace as you grow. All right, now I'm gonna ask you guys 3 questions. One, reduced emotional reactivity. What techniques or practices helped you manage emotional triggers and respond with intention rather than defensiveness during your healing journey?
Usually, what would help me would be just slowing down my overthinking and going back into my head and just doing like overall like deep breathing. Because if you practice nerve, I'm trying to remember the word, nerve retention. Yeah, if you practice nerve retention, being able to calm yourself down internally and able to shift like what you react to, what you don't, that helps you be able to do different things more and not react much as you used to because your nerves are now calm. You're no longer overthinking everything that's going on, and overall, it just helps you to just like narrow down your triggers.
I would say for me, I would say just being slow to speak. When you're slow to speak and then you're able to just think about what you're about to say, and that goes for anything, honestly. But when you feel like you're being triggered, you're almost it's like you're being triggered. So it's like any emotion that you feel, you automatically let out. And I feel like just being slow to speak and taking deep breaths and just using coping mechanisms to help you when you feel like you're being triggered could definitely help you within relationships.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that if I've ever been like triggered, especially in uh, nowadays, I try to like Mercedes said, take a deep breath, and I would remind myself, not to lose control of my emotions and just to breathe, and then kind of like take my time in responding to something that did trigger me, but that I can like calmly respond to.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the second question is based off of improved self worth. How did you work on rediscovering your self worth? And what role did self care or therapy play in boosting your confidence?
Mine would be for me. Um, I'm a kind of like do it yourself kind of girl. So it's like once I figure out how to do something, I'm like, okay, yeah. I don't honestly the self worth it comes straight back to me when I feel like it's being hurt by or I don't know the exact word, but just being like taken by someone, like it's being taken by a person who I really trusted, like with my feelings, with my heart. So when I like what I do to like gain that self worth back or do therapy, my therapy is just like doing my hair by myself or doing anything by myself. Where I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'm that girl. I don't need anybody but God. Um, to overcome my feeling of like unworthiness or yeah.
Yeah. For me, what has like helped me would definitely be funny enough, like subliminals, affirmations that I just tell myself, like I'm worthy. I can do a whole bunch of different things, and even just like after Teddy said, like doing stuff by myself and being able to just put in hard work and taking care of myself, like do like my nails, do my hair, just overall like body care and affirmations. They like help me to like not only like my physical but also like mental. Cause now I like nailed into me, I'm beautiful, I'm worthy, I can do so much stuff. It just helps. It's like really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I love that. I love that. All right. Um, how I worked on rediscovering my self worth was definitely like what you said, Bonnie. Like doing the self affirmation. Uh, I also did a lot of poetry. I think poetry definitely helped me kind of like put my emotions on paper, help me self identify how I was feeling during the earlier parts of my healing journey. And let's see. Also, the podcast. The podcast, I believe, is the best outlet for me because not only am I getting my emotions out there, whether it's based off of my recent breakup, or it's based off of just learning about love and romance, and especially modern day romance with other students, right? Teaching other students. I think I think that is a really great way for me to rediscover my self worth, and I also really do enjoy educating others too, because um, it's a very interesting concept and topic to talk about. And what will the self care? Therapy definitely helped with boosting my confidence, because I would talk to somebody about how I was feeling, and maybe I don't see it from their point of view until they explain it, and then I'm like, wow, I never really thought of it that way. But it's nice to see, uh, nice to hear someone translate how I was feeling into more words, so that I'm able to understand what I was feeling, or maybe see from a different point of view. And I think that's really how therapy played a role in boosting my confidence. So, yeah. And the third and final question is based off of healthy relationships. What's one key piece of advice you'd offer someone looking to rebuild trust and set healthy boundaries in a relationship after healing from trauma?
Mm, I would I would tell somebody to don't doubt yourself. I would say, because the more doubt that you hold in yourself, the more it's going to reflect on others, especially when it comes to relationships and just overall yourself and your self-worth. Because if you keep on holding doubt within yourself, whether that's like you as a person, or like really bad trust issues, it's going to reflect back on you with your relationships and just you overall.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, my.
It's okay. It's okay.
Um, Me, I would say going into your next relationship and just putting trust in that relationship, I would say is the biggest thing could advise. Um, Knowing how to put trust, I would say just have a talk with that person. I'm sorry, read the question one more time. What was the question?
Yeah, what's one key piece of advice you'd offer someone looking to rebuild trust and set healthy boundaries in a relationship after healing from trauma?
Oh, I would say don't get in a relationship for a while. Honestly, if you shouldn't be looking for a relationship, because now you have to. It's called healing. So I would say heal first, and um, then I would say step into a relationship. And it takes a while to heal, to overcome that traumatic experience. And once you do actually feel like you have found the person that you really want to settle down with, or you really want to be like, okay, I feel like I want to tell this person why I feel this way, or why what I've been through, and the pros and cons of just being in a relationship with me, and to overcome that, to help us both grow throughout the relationship. So um, yeah, first I would say heal first. Definitely, it takes a while to heal. Secondly, find that person that's willing to sit down and willing to talk about your traumatic experiences, or each other's traumatic experiences, and why they're both like that, or the way they act toward each other. Their triggers, um, just like just everything that goes into your relationship to help it grow, honestly, because you guys both will want to grow with each other. So yes.
Okay. Now, would you say that, because I know not everybody's experiences are the same. So, what about for the people who decide to start talking to someone or get into another relationship while they're still in their healing process?
That's not gonna work. It's literally not gonna work. Honestly, maybe, I mean, for that, I guess 5% of that 95% is gonna work, honestly, because you just never know. But honestly, from me and what I've looked at from like other people, it's definitely not gonna work. You have to have time to heal. You can't. Me personally, I feel as though my opinion that you cannot heal with being in a relationship. That just would not work out. Now, if you're in a talking stage, I'm guessing, and you guys are friends before, like not intimate with each other, not okay, maybe you can still heal with, talking to that person where you have feelings for, where like stuff like that. But other than that, being in an actual relationship with someone and you're still healing, it's not gonna feel right to you, and it's not gonna be beneficial to you, because at the end of the day, you're not healing by yourself. Like you have to gain all that the self-worth that you have, the independency, the just mentality of just like knowing how to be in a relationship all over again. You can't learn how to be in a relationship all over again while being in a relationship with another person.
Right. Okay.
Now,
would you... Oh, you can go ahead. You can go.
So like personally, I believe it depends on how far you are into your healing process, because and it also depends on how traumatic the other relationship was, or how much stuff that you hold to yourself. Because there's like so many different factors. Like, for example, someone could have been in an abusive relationship, and I'm pretty sure like that takes a long time to heal from. Like, that's why I'm saying, yeah, for right now, like don't get into another relationship, focus on yourself. But if it's something that's kind of sort of on the relatively like smaller scale, I can't really give an example right now. But if it's like that, then I'll say you can, but but it still matters on how far along are you. Because if you feel like you're ready and you're open enough, and a good amount of parts of you have healed from that, I will say get to a relationship. Because I don't think I don't want to say the word broken, but I feel those who have felt like broken in a relationship, if you repair yourself enough, I think like you can still get into a relationship, but you just need to know like what you're looking for now. That's why I said like it depends. You need to know what you're looking for. You need to look out for red flags. You gotta you just got to like hold more to yourself.
Okay. And do you guys think that everybody's healing process is like the time frame and everything is different?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, especially like it depends on what you've been through, because everybody's traumatic experiences is different. Everybody's background story is different. Everybody's development in their brain is different. So like you really just gotta everybody's story is not the same. So everybody's journey is not going to be the same, and everybody's healing process is not going to be the same. So
okay, all right. All right, so here is a personal story, some stories of healing, and I will ask you guys to share a little bit of a story too if you wish. So I will go first. I was stuck in an emotional rut after a difficult breakup. For a month, I felt as if I was moving in circles, just dealing with the same feelings over and over. Literally sadness, anger, depression, resentment towards that person. There was a lot that I was feeling. But slowly, with the support of all these like newfound friends that I found, the therapy that I got, I made a Minecraft Realms group chat on Instagram, and I made a Minecraft Realms. We've been playing all winter break. Like, it was great. And with a lot of self-reflection, I was able to find myself, starting to feel lighter. A lot lighter, less sad, and more happier. And I found new hobbies, reconnected with my old passions like writing and poetry, like I said, and began trusting myself again. Not only that, I kept up with my love podcast. Hey guys. And now using that as an outlet and to help others. So I realized that the key to healing was giving myself the grace to feel my emotions and not rushing the process. So I'm still in my healing process. I know there's no time set of when it will end, but I do know that I'm still healing. So that is my personal unique experience with healing. What about you guys?
For me, um, well, I don't really have a necessary story, but I would say, like, for me, something that I realized about myself is I'll get into like situations where I feel like I want to be with this person, and I realize I don't, or this person is not good for me, and also, like, I don't know, like, for me, I just feel like sometimes I can get distracted from my goal. So something that I learned from like my past relationships or situationships is just to honestly don't let that get in between your goal, like your vision for what you want to accomplish in life. Because with me, I feel like that can definitely help with me. And one of my, it's like different people I learned from. Like, yes, I don't talk to them anymore in that way, but I learned from them. And something that I learned from one of them is just like to honestly stay focused, because that person that I was in a situation with, they were focused on their goal. They were focused. And me, I found myself just wanting to be up under them and wanting to just spend as much time as with them. And I had to realize, like, this person really has a life, and I have a life too. And this they're not gonna like you anymore when you want to spend more time with them. When you pressure them to want to spend more time with you, you're gonna have to want them to spend more time with you on their own. So that all that asking, oh, when are we gonna hang out, or when are you gonna have time for this, or like, why don't you have time for me, or something like that, they know that you're supposed to spend time with your significant other. They know that their responsibilities, one of their responsibilities is just to find time to like spend with that person that they like. So that's just something that I learned from that person, just to stay focused and don't let anybody that you're talking to get in the way of that. And another thing I learned from another individual that I was talking to is just to don't let that person like overpower you to the point where it's like you feel as though you can't do anything by yourself. Like, everything that you do is gonna has to be with that individual, the individual has to do for you. And that can make you feel so like worthless, not you not wanting to do anything, and just overall just not be yourself. So after all of that, now you're gonna have to relearn how to what you like about yourself, relearn what you love about yourself, relearn your hobbies, relearn what you're good at, and stuff like that. So I would just say, from my past, I would just say just learning how to just develop on my own and spend time with myself and learn more about myself, and to grow on my own as well. And to not let my priorities distract me. I mean, let my priorities not be last, or come second, or come last from someone who I'm talking to, because at the end of the day, they're going to accomplish what they have going on. It's up to you to stay focused. It's up to you to stay on track and finish what you have to do.
Um, for me, it would definitely have to be two different situations that I've been in. One, like, which is, well, both of them are technically pretty recent, but with one, it's kind of been like finding who and who not to like lean on and prioritize, especially when it comes to that person prioritizing you in those situations, or at least in one of those situations. The person that I was talking to kept on trying to make me prioritize them. um have like basically in a way where it's like, oh, like completely like remove yourself, you're supposed to only be thinking about me, like you're supposed to be talking to me, why aren't you talking to me, like just completely like upset. And because of that, it had me struggle with being able to put up my own boundaries when it came to that person. And every time like I would set a boundary up, like, hey, I'm doing like schoolwork right now, I'm studying right now, I need to do this, I need to do that, like I can't always spend my time with you. That person would immediately get mopey, immediately be like, oh, like, so you're not going to spend time with me, so I like, okay, like I see, like I don't really matter to you as much. And then immediately I would break that boundary down of me setting like my, like, setting my time up, I'd be like, okay, like, I'm sorry, you know, like, what can I do to, like, help you, basically. I would put my self-worth and the stuff that I have to do under in order to prioritize that person above me because they wanted me to be their priority. And after me leaving that situation, especially after putting up that, I guess, final boundary that made them be like, oh, like, I guess this person, like, I guess she doesn't want to, like, basically go along to my needs. They dropped me. But at the same time, after that, I was better because it helped me realize, yo, if I keep setting up these boundaries and if I, like, really, like, stay to myself and understand, like, yo, I need to get this, and this done. Like what Mercedes said, being able to prioritize yourself and being able to prioritize the stuff that you have going on is most definitely going to help you in the long run. Because at the end of the day, and I think people, like, really need to understand, if you don't have yourself, at the end of the day, you have nothing.
Exactly.
That's something that a lot of people need to take more priority, because it also goes back to, like, this old saying, like, oh, like you're gonna die alone, stuff like that. I don't want to die alone. Everybody dies alone, and I think that's something that people really need to understand. You're going to be alone for a good majority of your life, and the worst thing that you can do is spend that time pleasing somebody else instead of yourself. Is not prioritizing yourself, not prioritizing somebody else, not putting up boundaries for yourself and breaking them down for somebody else, because all you got is yourself at the end of the day. Exactly. And that's something that you need to understand, especially people who, and this goes into the second situation that I've been in, like people who experience limerence, not being able to do anything without the validation of somebody else that they have a romantic interest in. I remember that I would get obsessive and I would always be like, oh, I'm going to dress according to, like, things that that person told me that they're into. I'm going to do things, do activities that that person, like, likes so they can like me more. And, like, that was very detrimental, because not only did that have me build resentment towards that person for me not being able to be myself in a weird way, it also made me lose myself more because I wasn't able to fully understand or have a grasp on my own identity at the time. So after moving on and after understanding that I need to be able to please myself and do stuff myself for me, that definitely helped me, like, get myself together, move on, and find my own identity and happiness.
Exactly. And it all goes to say that if you don't love yourself, then how are you possibly going to love someone else? You're going to have to be able to love yourself, because you are the only person that is with you every day, 24/7. You are with yourself. It is me, myself, and I. Okay? And the other people in your life, they're secondary and things like that. But you will always be with yourself. So you need to learn how to love yourself before you can love another human being, whether that is a partner or even a child, at the end of the day.
Exactly. And you would think, like, well, I thought, like, well, people hear that on a daily basis, but honestly, people don't hear that enough. Like, people don't hear that at all, honestly, about loving yourself first, and you have yourself more than you have anybody else, and you were born on this earth alone, and you're gonna die alone. So it's just like, honestly, you really have to just learn how to just be content within yourself. So it sucks that some people don't know that. Some people don't feel that. And I feel like it's up to your parents to honestly instill that into their child, because people are out here thinking like they can just get love from somebody else and that's going to help them love themselves, and that's just not the case. Like, some people, someone is brought to your life to help you. To love on you, just to spread their love that they have for you onto you. That's not going to make you love yourself more. You have to come with love. You have to be in love with yourself first before you can get in a relationship with anybody. So you know how you want to be treated, how you want to be loved. Like,
exactly, because the thing is like, if you are depending on that person to give you love, imagine if they just left. Imagine they just left your life. Now what? Now you're left with nothing because you didn't have yourself. You didn't have yourself. Yeah, you do have yourself physically in a physical sense, but you don't really truly have yourself as an identity because that identity did not exist, which is why it is so important and so imperative that people need to learn that the self-love, self-identity, and all these things is very important before they decide to start a relationship with another person.
You can't love yourself from an outside force, and that's something that like a lot of people don't understand. Like not even just like nobody can love you but you. Like trying to gain love or gain acceptance from an outside source is going to do nothing but have you crave validation from that outside source. Like get validation from yourself.
Exactly. Because you shouldn't have to ask for it. They should give it to you without having it to be asked.
Exactly.
Exactly. Like that's not that And if they don't give that to you, then there's a problem, and you may need to reevaluate your relationship.
Right, and even if they do, within the first 3 months of you meeting a person, even if they do show love, that's not right. Because first of all, you're just meeting that person, so that is called love bombing. First of all, and second of all, some people like me, I would say, I love bomb and could also get love bombed. That's how I always end up in situations where I don't need to be in. But yeah, I always find myself like being love bombed or love bombing someone, thinking like, oh my gosh, they did this for me, now we just have to be together for a lifetime, when that's literally not the case. Love is something, it's just like over time. Like you're not supposed to just love bomb someone. Now, in some cases it might work, but from my knowledge, it never works that way, because now you're love bombing someone, or that person is showing you love at the beginning, and now you're showing them all these imperfections that you have. And now all of a sudden it's just like, oh my gosh, whoa, like I just feel like we're rushing, we're doing stuff a little bit too fast.
Yeah.
So now, like, you really gotta be careful with love. Love just does not come easy. Like, you really gotta be very, very careful with who you love and who you're being loved by. So yeah.
Exactly. I agree. I would like to thank you guys for sharing your stories of healing and all the advice and tips that you have shared with my listeners and everything like that. What we've taken from this is healing is personal and unique to each person. But with patience and self-trust, emotional strength and freedom will come in time. So the real question is when should I get into another relationship? Well, before you do, you need to rebuild before you re-enter. Jumping into a new relationship without healing can lead to unresolved baggage and repeated patterns. Process past traumas. Unhealed wounds can manifest as trust issues or insecurity. Therapy or self-reflection helps prevent them from impacting future relationships. Signs that you're ready, 1, you feel emotionally stable and secure within yourself. 2, you're open to trust and vulnerability. And 3, you set and respect healthy boundaries. Take your time. There's no need to rush when it comes to healing and, eventually, diving back and delving into the world of dating. When you've healed, the right relationship will align with your growth and self-worth. The right person will come around in time. Don't try to force yourself, Now, here are some meaningful questions I want to ask you too. It's just 3. Let's see. Can you share a bit about your personal journey with trauma and how it impacted your relationships? That's the first question.
So with me, personal here, a lot of my trauma came from my parental relationship, mainly with my mother. She always mainly put me at center stage of not only taking care of her, but taking care of my entire family, including my brothers, my uncle, and my father himself. She always made me the forefront caretaker. And because of that, in a lot of my relationships, I was mainly the caretaker. I would draw in a lot of people who were unable to be alone by themselves or take care of themselves. And I always had to be the shoulder that people leaned on. That's romantic relationships and even friendships. And later down the line, it constantly hurt me and made me build a bunch of aggression, not only towards those people but also to myself, especially because of the fact I had unresolved trauma because of that, of always having to be the shoulder and always having to bottle things inside because I wanted other people to lean on me. And it also made me feel like if nobody was able to lean on me, if I couldn't be something for people, then I was nothing. If I couldn't take care of somebody, then I don't have any worth. And that has always stuck with me. But later down the line, when I met some of my best friends to this day, I opened up and I shared with them my experiences, and I was able to lean on them while they were also able to lean on me. And we were able to share things with each other and have a healthy boundary, especially with all of our lives. And because of that, and because of me being able to understand the importance of vulnerability and being able to lean on others and understanding that I had more worth than just basically being someone's free therapist in a way, I'm able to build more meaningful connections with a lot more boundaries, and I'm able to enjoy myself more and understand that I'm not only is it okay for me to lean on others, other people can lean on me, but I need to set some stuff with that. And after being able to understand that, I'm more sound of a person, and I'm just able to identify certain healthy and unhealthy patterns that come with it, come with romance, come with friendships, and double streets, essentially, double standards when it comes to both of them.
Okay. For me, I was kind of opposite. I never really growing up, I feel as though something that should have been taught to me as a child was just knowing my talents and stuff like that. Because I remember growing up, I would always say, "Oh, I don't have imagination," or "I don't have any talents," or basically telling my own mom I don't know why I belong on this earth. I don't know why I belong on this earth. And it was just I would never get a firm answer and stuff like that. So growing up, of course, when you're asking your mom those questions or just having that question in your head, it's just dang, it's kind of you don't really, I don't know. For me, I just felt I just didn't know my worth, honestly. And I didn't know, I needed to, love myself more. Mm-hmm. And so me not being, not having that instilled within me, I would say it definitely affected the way I treated people, the way people treated me, my confidence, who I surrounded myself with, who I gave my body to. It definitely affected oh my gosh, the way it impacted my life so much. It's just I'm 21 years old, and it's I'm just now realizing that it definitely had an impact on my life. And me realizing I'm so talented, and I wish I was instilled in me when I was younger. And if it was, I probably would be in a better state of mind. I wouldn't have to go through all of that trauma that I've been through, or situations where I did not need to be in. Right. So I would just say with that, past trauma, stuff like that, it's going to take me a while, I would say, for me to get into another relationship, because I know this next relationship is going to be healthy, and because I know for a fact that I did the necessary steps for it to be healthy, and I did the necessary precautions for me to not be in that same predicament that I was in the past. So I just know it's going to take a long time for me to be in a relationship, and if I do come across a person where I feel as though that is the person, or God reveals to me that is the person I'm going to be like living with or being in a long-term relationship with, I'm still going to have to take time for that person to tell them like my past trauma and how that affected me today and how like I've grown from it. So yeah, I would say I've been through a couple of things, and the fact that I'm still like standing here today, and the fact that I'm like still smiling and still like I'm pursuing my goals, it just says a lot. Like, you never know what somebody has been through. So especially with the family and stuff like that, like family plays a huge role in relationships. How you treat a person, how you treat people individually. Like, it's just, yes, I feel as though I had to learn how to even gain my self-confidence back, how to gain it in the first, like how to gain it overall, how to talk to people. The fact that I just didn't know, I still don't know. I'm still working on how to talk to people, how to keep a conversation with them, because I don't want to be the person like that is just like, oh yeah, I can't talk to this person. I get so nervous. I don't want to be that person. I want to be the person that has the most confidence in the room. And when I do step in the room, it's just like I bring energy and stuff like that. I want to be that person. So I just feel like past trauma has definitely affected me, but honestly, it has made me grow. Necessarily, it has made me grow, honestly, because now I just know like I can connect the pieces. I connect the dots. Like, okay, I'm like this because of what happened when I was younger. I'm like this because this is what happened. It's just like, yes, past trauma, it definitely affects you, but it also helps you grow. And I hope that other girls in life, they know like not a past trauma, like traumatic experience, don't only affect you in a negative way, it can also affect you in a positive way because it helps you grow.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. You said it so well. Both of you did. Thank you. Oh my gosh, love that. Okay. The second question is, what was the turning point that made you realize you needed to heal?
When, I guess, basically we talked about this whole podcast, just like not feeling like yourself, not feeling like you love yourself, like when you need to heal when you feel like you're just a person that's outside your body, like your soul is detached from you. When you feel as though you're detached from your own body, that's when you need to take time to heal. That's when you need to take time to just like pray, do something to really like come back to yourself. Because once you feel like when you feel like you need to heal, you're gonna know, because you're just not gonna feel yourself. You're not gonna want to wake up in the morning to do certain tasks. You're not gonna wake up in the morning to just like do something, do what you need to do. You're not gonna wake up in the morning to like, oh yeah, I need to do my hair, my makeup, I need to put on the best fit. You're not gonna feel the stuff that you need to do that because you're not gonna love yourself. Like you're gonna. You know that you need to heal. You know that you need to recover something from whether it's a relationship or a friendship. Either way, you're gonna know when you need to heal. Because with girls is easy. Like when you're sad or when you're in a dump, you just know like, oh yeah, like this is a time I've been affected. I just been like just traumatized, or I've been through something where I just like I don't feel myself no more. And once I don't feel myself, it's like my confidence is just gone. And like, what you also need to heal is when somebody has to tell you like, you're beautiful, right? Like, oh, you're this, like, they have to instill in you positivity, because they can see, people can see you being not confident. People can see you not being like the person that they see you to be. That's why another thing that I thought about is like how, when people see what is the word? They see your potential. You have to see your potential within yourself. people get jealous because they see something in you that you don't see for yourself. So when that happens, you're gonna be wondering, like, dang, why don't this person like me, or why is this person acting this way towards me? Because they see something in you that you don't see in yourself. And once that happens, it's just like you're always gonna question life. You're always gonna question, well, is this person for me? Is this person for me? And stuff like that. Healing is not just it comes from one thing. It comes from a lot of different factors. And I just feel like it's not necessarily easy for you to tell yourself, like, oh, I need to heal, but it's definitely imperative for you to take time to yourself to defer if you need to heal or not, or is this a season for you to be, self-isolation and stuff like that.
I think that when you just start losing, like, all your passions, not even just all your passions, like, mainly it's like all of what Mercedes said. When you just start losing yourself, you don't find joy in the things that you once found joy in. Your confidence is just like you can't find it within yourself to find anything positive or anything good about yourself. You feel completely disconnected. You're unable to just, like, accept yourself at all. That's when you really need to heal, and you really need to take time to understand, like, is there anything different that I need to do to be able to feel comfortable within myself? Is there anything, like, that's going on that I can do to just make me feel whole again? And even that, trying to find things that make you feel whole again can also be, like, a really bad slippery slope into, like, negative patterns and things like that. And to stop that, I really think, like, people need to just go back and understand, like, what about the thing that I used to do made me happy. Mm-hmm. For example, like, something like, drawing and stuff. Somebody might, like, have artist block and not want to draw anymore. Like, what about drawing, like, made me happy? Oh, like, being able to express my creativity, that made me happy. Okay, then let me try something else that also lets me do this, but in a different medium. Somebody might start writing. Somebody might start poetry. And they might just dip that thing into, like, something else. And it will help that person, like, find themselves, because there's, like, more different outlets.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. I like that response. The last question is, how did trauma shape your approach to love, trust, and emotional connection?
It shaped my what?
How did it shape your approach to love, trust, and emotional connection?
Trauma shaped my approach to love spiritually and affection.
Love, trust, and emotional connection.
Oh, emotional. Okay. For sure, it negatively, like, it definitely shaped my approach to it, because the simple fact where it's just like you just never know. Like, you're going to always carry your traumatic experiences onto the next relationship. So honestly, it just shaped it negatively, because now I'm just like, okay, this person did this to me, so what makes me think this person's not going to do the same thing to me? And so now I have to have my guard up. Now I have to lie, or not necessarily lie, but now I have to, like, just, like, not put my heart in it, because it's like, this person did this to me, so now I just feel like, not saying, like, I'm that kind of person, but just, you're always going to have that in the back of your head, instilled in you, like, oh, I got to have my guard up, because I was once hurt once before. I can't be hurt again. So now I just feel like it definitely shaped it negatively, because now I just feel like my guard up has to be up all the time, consistently. And once another person that I'm in a relationship with, or a situationship with, or let's not even say situationship, like, we need to knock the situationship out of the door, out of the window, out of park. Like, it just needs to be erased. No situations, only relationships. But yes, relationships, because if a person does something, if my next relationship, if that person does something that seemingly is incoherent to the other person in the past, now I'm thinking, oh yeah, y'all both are like smack, like right go together. So now I have to like put my guard up so I won't be hurt again, which sucks so bad. But yeah, it just negatively, honestly.
The way trauma affected me was definitely like my ability to be able to open up and be able to like have a really good emotional connection with people, because like I said, like the first question, like I always like wanted somebody to lean on me. I always wanted somebody to like have me like be there for them, and it made my self-worth go like down immediately. And even now I still like hold it to myself that if I can't like do something for this person, if I can't like help this person emotionally, mentally, basically like Bob the Builder, basically like Bob the Builder, like trying to build somebody back up. If I can't help somebody be the best person that they can be, then I find myself, oh, I'm useless in this relationship. And even then, communication. Immediately, like Mercedes said, like, and like her, like things like if somebody does something like how the other person did, I'll immediately like, yeah, y'all are exactly the same.
Right.
The same thing goes for me. Like if and something that she also talked about, love bombing. I do, like, I'll be honest, I do love bombing. However, it's like also a thing about consistency and communication. And I'm like, hey, if I'm doing all of this and I don't get it back immediately, really, I'm like, oh wow, like now it's weird. Now you don't love me. Now like I gotta go, right. Basically.
Right.
And it just affects like everything negatively, because now I'm like, okay, so I just dropped this person because I couldn't because they couldn't give me what I wanted. However, at the same time, in the same vein, it's like you just met that person,
right? Yeah,
just connected with that person, and you left them because they weren't able to give you something that they didn't even ask for.
Mm-hmm.
And once like I started looking at it from that perspective, it had me like understand like, yo, this is something I need to stop. Like this is a trauma response that's very unhealthy. And because of that, like I just had to like go back and be like, okay, so what can I do like differently now, especially like being able to identify it. And honestly, once you're able to just identify the trauma that like made you like have repeat patterns in your past relationships, it's just going to overall like help you like with not only like your relationships but like also yourself.
Yeah, I really do. I like that, the self-identify how you react to certain things and kind of like trying to track it back to like, okay, well, what happened in my last relationship that is now causing me to react or respond in this way to this new person. And I also like what you guys both said about like, well, if that person's acting the same way as the other person, which we call them red flags over here, and it's time to go. It's time to go. Exit, stage left, because that's not going to be it, and it's probably going to end up being end up probably being a repeat or just a not a good relationship to be in. I really liked both of your guys' responses to these three questions. Very detailed, very advising, and the tips that you guys gave to the listeners, great. I love that. Thank you for that. Okay.
No problem.
Yes. All right, so here are the main points that we covered in today's episode. Understanding trauma and its impact on relationships. Trauma can deeply affect how we connect, communicate, and trust in relationships. Recognizing its presence and impact is the first step toward healing. The importance of self-awareness and seeking professional help. Acknowledging your trauma allows you to begin the healing process. Seeking therapy or support can provide you with the tools needed to manage triggers, improve communication, and build healthier relationships. And finally, steps toward healing and readiness for future relationships. Healing involves overcoming guilt, reclaiming your identity, setting boundaries, and engaging in self-care. Only once you've healed and processed your past traumas can you approach future relationships with emotional stability, vulnerability, and trust. Remember, healing is a journey, and it's okay to take it one step at a time. Take your time, honor your progress, and trust that you are on the path to a healthier, more fulfilling future. Now, if you found today's episode helpful, please share it with a friend, leave feedback, or submit any questions you have for future episodes. I and we love hearing it from you guys. Next time on Love Unfiltered, we'll dive into love in the shadow of trauma, rebuilding trust and connection. You won't want to miss it. Thank you for tuning in today, and remember, healing takes time, and growth is always possible. Keep taking those steps forward, and we'll be here with you every step of the way. See you next week. Bye.